Valo Regional.
Because I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying with us. If you are just joining, you're watching Daybreak on Trust Television. Time for us to take a look at the dailies on Daybreak this morning, and we begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. The lead story there says, despite DSS ultimatum, petrol scarcity persists in states. It has the riders that says product sells for 310 naira in Kaduna, Kano, and others. Queues ease in Lagos, Abuja. Marketers seek price control, deregulation. DSS begins secret operations. You also find, beside the pictorial, Niger pensioners disrupt swearing in of local government chairman on page 7. Farmers, herders conflict threatening food, national security minister says. That's on page 4. 2 remanded for 5 million naira e-robbery in Oshun on page 20. You also have above the lead story, travel guidelines, FG counsels COVID-19 test, face mask wearing on page 6. 3 IPOP members killed in Imo, INEC office attack on page 8. And also police invite NSITF MD over forged NYSC certificate. At a footnote, you would find Constitution Amendment stalled, may not end before June, says Speaker, and that's on page 12. You also still have 11 schoolgirls of FGC Birni Yawuri still in captivity 546 days after. One student of Bethel Baptist High School, Kujama, 518 days still in captivity. That's that for the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, next we'll take a look at the Punch newspaper, and it carries this major story on the front page. INEC PDP offices raised, scores killed in southeast Kaduna. Now, has riders here that says politicians sponsoring attacks on INEC offices, says Uzodimma. Gunmen, soldiers clash in Ebonyi. Soldiers comb communities, attack villages. Military invades volatile Kaduna local government areas. And traders, artisans, civil servants flee as gunmen enforcing sit-at-home invade Abakaliki market burnt. Other stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Fuel scarcity, marketers kick against NMPCL's import monopoly. And that is on page 20. FDI dropped by 59% in 11 years. That is attributed to the World Bank. Details on page 28. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway relief as FG removes barriers. Details of that can be found on page 4. And still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, withdrawal limits. POS operators, Falana held for court. Bajagbiamila faults Emefile. Politicians buying PVCs from voters, INEC alleges. And medical tourism gulped $6.23 million in 8 months, according to a report. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right. Now, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The lead story talks about 5 killed in attack on another INEC office in Southeast. It has the riders that says 2 policemen, 3 attackers dead in crossfire. IPOP behind attack, say police. You would also find below the pictorial PDP crisis, Wike, Okoa, Otom in airport drama. The governors in hide and seek. 6.5 billion naira project inaugurated in Makuri. These are some of the major stories on the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, next newspaper we're going to take a look at is the Blueprint newspaper, and it carries this major story on the front page. Investigation, Imo office, now 8th INEC facility to be attacked in 4 months, 49th in over 3 years. Now that is the major story, and details can be found on page 6. It comes with riders here that says police officer, 3 gunmen killed in Owerri attack. And we're undeterred, election materials intact, staff members not affected. That is by Okoye, and Gombe PDP campaign office also burnt. Now, still looking at the Blueprint newspaper, help beg your colleagues not to kill Constitution Review, NAS tells El Rufai. And it comes with riders here that says amendment may not be completed before the end of the 9th Assembly, says Bajak Biamila. And I can't function as lawmaker because we are all equals. That is the Kaduna governor. And Jigawa 2023, our agenda to improve health, social security and IGR. That is another story. They are attributed to the APC governorship candidate. And at the bottom of the front page there, talking about the economy with CBN support, Jigawa's GDP rose to 2.25 trillion naira in 2022, according to Badaru. Filling station owners dismiss DSS order on petrol scarcity, and that is on page 15 of the Blueprint. At Anambra, rescues 13-year-old girl raped, impregnated by guardian. And another story here says, Dangote Group, overall most responsible business in 2022 awards. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper.
All right, so let's take a look at the This Day newspaper this morning. The lead story there, Obasanjo, Nigeria at crossroads, needs leader with right character, says he's paid his dues. You'd also find above the masthead, Mormon subsidy has diminished Nigerian institutions' capacity to deal with energy crisis. Bajabia Miller, State Assembly stalling amendments to 1999 Constitution. FG abolishes face mask at airports, relaxes COVID-19 rules. CBN, development finance interventions have boosted food security. And then below the pictorial, police kill 3, arrest 2 as bandit attack INEC office in Owerri. These are the major stories on the This Day newspaper.
All right, next we'll take a look at the Leadership newspaper. It carries this major story on the front page. Insecurity may disenfranchise 11 million voters in Southeast. And it has riders here, collection of 930,000 PVCs in shaky start. Sit-at-home order stalls exercise in Anambra, Enugu, Imo, and ensure they get their PVCs will be charged as security agencies. Now, that is the major story on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. And I will end hunger unemployment as president, says Atiku. Details of that can be found on page 19. Now, the News Belt carries these head stories. FG cancels COVID-19 tests for all travelers. I'm talking about sports now. World Cup, Croatia, Argentina lock horns for final spot. And switching back to politics, 2023, vote only competent candidates, Northern elders tell Nigerians. And still talking politics, Tinubu Shetima in Kaduna ahead of Northwest campaign rally. And above the masthead there, FG declares Reuters abortion report against military fake. And El Rufai to National Assembly, move VAT to exclusive list, pass state police bill. Details of that can be found on page 7. Now, these are the major stories on the front page of the Leadership newspaper this morning.
All right, so let's get perspectives to some of the stories this morning on our front pages. We have joining us to talk more on this Hajia Zainab Okino. She's the chairperson, editorial board of the Blueprint newspaper. She is our guest reviewer this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Hajia Zainab. Good morning. Hello there. Hello, are you there?
Yeah,
Okay, good morning.
I can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right. So if you can hear me, first, let's go first to the issue of the constitutional review. Yesterday, we saw that meeting by legislators where a lot of issues were raised as far as the issue of constitutional reviews. Basically, the principal officers of the National Assembly are raising concern about the delay and the in the whole process. States are yet to, I mean, we do not have the required number of states that have, looked into the constitutional review, and this has lingered for quite a while. It is the lawmakers are now doubting that the principal officers, the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, are not sure if this will see the light of the day by the end of the tenure of the Ninth Assembly. What do you make of this?
The fears of the National Assembly principal officers are genuine because over the course of time, we have seen how governors have bottled. So that meeting, the meeting was important enough to enlighten the general public, to call their government and ask them to do the needful. I think it's also good that the principal officers appealed to the governors to, this time around, do something about doing their own part so that the constitution amendment can go through. The governors, as I've said, they behave they are like dictators. They are in charge of their states. They dictate what should be and should. Over the years, every effort at amending the constitution has always been scuttled by them, including even autonomy for state assemblies. So, I'm happy that this meeting took place, and I hope governors will accede to the request of the assembly to swallow and allow the constitution to be, and so that we can have the required number, that's 2/3, to completely amend the constitution before the end of this administration. Otherwise, we start all over again and spend more money and achieve nothing in the end.
All right, so just to add to what you just said, now if this constitutional review is not completed and is not passed before the end of this, the tenure of this assembly, what does that entail for the next assembly that's coming in? Just like you said, that means, do we have to start afresh totally, or do we continue from where this one stopped? What is that? What does it actually entail for the new assembly that's going to be instituted?
We start all over again. We've seen this over the years. We start all over again because they will also come with their own principal officers that are in charge of review, and they will go to all the 36 states, and start all over again. And that's the reference I made earlier on, that it means we are going to, it has become a merry-go-round for our legislation. Well, maybe to some not their fault, but to a large extent, they also have their own blame. They all have their own issues. It's fact that our own is my major concern. That we seem unserious that we have to go over some issues over and over when we should be taking on some progress. They are the polity as they affect our lives. But then we start, we scuttle it, we start all over again, then it's scuttled again, mainly because governors are cooperating.
All right. The state assemblies are raising certain issues as some of the reasons why some of them are delaying the process. They have made submissions. They have made requests about certain bills that they want the National Assembly to include in the constitutional review. One of them is the issue of state policing. You also have the issue of state judicial council streamlining of procedures and then also one of them is also streamlining the procedures for the removal of presiding officers of state houses of assembly. rather than just the impeachment process that we have right now, and then also institutionalization of legislative bureaucracy in constitution. So perhaps is there a justification for this, given the fact that they also have their own interest?
Yeah. So of course there's justification for the issue of state police. This is an issue that we can no longer run from, because even the presidential all parties are talking about autonomy for talking about they are talking about autonomy for local government or state police. So there's an extent you can I think our people are stuck in the past and they are ready to make progress. We cannot continue to say that this will not work, not work, this will not work because our people are like this, our people are like this. No, you have to make progress. No constitution is sacrosanct. Every now and then efforts are made to either remove certain things or add the other. So the issue of autonomy for the issue of autonomy for local government, state police for the state it has come. It's not an issue we can run from anymore. So whether these governors like it or not, if it doesn't happen in their lifetime, it will eventually happen. Or if it doesn't happen while they are in office, it will still happen one day. They cannot run away from it. And I agree that there should be institutionalization of certain things, because all the problem we have as a nation is that our institutions are not working. We build our country, we build our state, even at the moment, around powerful individuals so much so that when those powerful individuals are not no longer there, everything collapses. No, we need to institutionalize everything so that whether it is you or it is me that is there or whoever is there, we know that there are steps to follow. So with them that whether it is about the principal officers and how they should be elected, if they own interest, they are not there forever. Someday they will have to live there. So as long as these laws will create an environment that can uh, our politics can thrive, our bureaucracy can thrive successfully, it is good for all of us. So I think the governors need to really cooperate.
All right. So, in the course of analyzing that, you actually made mention of something very important, which is the creation of state police, which has a lot to do with security. And of course, we know the kind of insecurity challenges bedeviling the country as it is. Because right now, we woke up to news of another INEC office in Imo that was attacked and it was razed. And of course, the growing number of these attacks on these INEC offices. Now, talking about insecurity generally, what does this portend for the 2023 elections? Because there are still growing fears in a lot of places that these elections might not hold because of insecurity.
Phenomenal sign, obviously, and I'm afraid not for the southeast, especially where insecurity has been, where these attacks on INEC offices have been rampant. For the first time in the history of this country, we have a candidate in presidential race that is quite popular among among the youth across the country. There's that possibility he can win the election if he works harder than what they are currently doing. And here is his own backbone, political base, trying to scuttle what is potentially a good omen for them. So it's bad enough that this is bad enough that it's happening at this time. So, and I had the governor say, "What is the motive?" He cannot say that he doesn't, but he asked the, okay, what's actually the motives of this? Perhaps we can trace it to the fact that the IPOB leader was denied his freedom, and maybe this is the way that they can ventilate their own anger, but they should also see the other side of it. So if eventually they deny the participating in the election as it should, that's a big chunk of votes for one of their own becoming not being included or losing votes. And you know what that means for. So they need to have a routine.
All right.
Something about this and the fact that the police this time around, they were able to eliminate some of the terrorists. And it's not enough to say we have neutralized some of them. Trying to of the matter, in trying to know the motive have
Okay.
been caught now, they need to be made to pay the price. They need to be made to, they should be used as examples for others so that who want to score the election will understand the government will not take them.
All right. All right. Well, the blueprint is reporting that this attack is the eighth on INEC facilities in the last 4 months, also the 49th in over 3 years, as even INEC themselves have confirmed. We are also seeing that insecurity, and that's the story that the leadership newspaper is leading with. Insecurity may disenfranchise 11 million voters in the southeastern part of the country. Is this attack, is it a coincidence that it is happening on the day that INEC, commenced the distribution of PVCs in the southeastern part of the country and, of course, the entire country generally? Hello? Hello?
Even last week there was an attack. So it's something planned. The terrorists just know what they are doing, and they have been on this for like the assessment of the blueprint story. It says in the last 3 years, and this 49th. So it's been an ongoing process. So that the collection has started. Maybe it's just to make the point that oh, you are collecting PVCs, but we're not going to allow this to take place. So it's just one in addition to several taking place before. Even if it's a coincidence, even if it's planned to coincide with the collection, just to make a statement that we are still around and we are still in charge of security in the state. And I like the fact that the police this time around did make a good outing by eliminating or neutralizing a few of them, and they even arrested some. So that's a good starting point. At least this. Unfortunately, they also lost one officer. So very unfortunate.
All right. We are seeing other stories also on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Above the masthead, the story talks about medical tourism gobbed $6.23 million in 8 months, according to a report. I would like to get your reaction to this story. What's your take on this?
Understand what do you mean by gobbed so amount?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes. So the story talking about, the
Okay,
amount
okay.
spent so far on medical tourism.
I
Yes,
understand now.
amounting
And
to $6.23
so,
million in 8 months
that's
alone.
Okay, so I wouldn't know how the Punch newspaper came about their lump sum, but we know those who are going for medical tourism. They are our people now, our rich men that tourism, starting from the president himself. So I'm not surprised that much was expended on medical tourism when part of it could have been used to fix flights here in Nigeria. Well, no good example from the top, so you cannot blame those who are following suit. Of course, they will tell you it's their money. But it's very unfortunate that this is happening at a time when we have what is now called JAPA, and part of the JAPA thing, when that making sure that ensure that our youth are going out, is mainly on medical affects medical personnel. So now what remains of our own health system when some of our best are going out and our big men are also going out to spend our money. You know what that means? Capital money that should have been used to develop our own system. Very unfortunate. But there's no good leadership from the top, so you cannot blame those that are doing it.
Oh, all right. So another story that's made the rounds and something that's really biting hard in Nigerians right now is the current fuel scarcity that we're experiencing. A couple of days ago, the DSS came out and gave an ultimatum that it should be ended by the marketers and all that. But right now, we're getting stories. I mean, like the Daily Trust led with it, that despite the ultimatum, petrol scarcity still persists. We're seeing from the blueprint saying that the filling stations dismissed the DSS ultimatum. And of course, the Punch reporting that marketers are kicking against the NMPC import monopoly concerning this. Is there any end in sight to this particular fuel scarcity right now as it is?
This apart that we have other issues. It's always a seasonal thing. December period, Christmas, and so many activities. It's a seasonal thing. Besides that, this we're in a situation where the NNPC or the federal government doesn't seem to be in control petrol to filling stations. And the filling station owners, the IPMAN or the stakeholders will tell you that they cannot buy a so amount and sell less. But I like the fact that DSS waded in and it brought a bit of sanity because the queues were much longer before. Now the queues seem to be reducing. But even if DSS, so I will urge the DSS or other government agencies involved to keep it up and ensure that if filling stations have the products they should sell, there's no point torturing our people in the name of us trying to share vehicles and move to seek for what to eat, means of livelihood. But then supply, we need to tackle the problem by background. If the supply is there, everybody wants to sell and make profit. If the supply is there, it's a supply and demand economics 101, as they say. So if the supply is there, if the product is available in filling stations, they will surely sell. I mean, there are times when they will even be inviting you, calling you, fuel is available, come and buy. That's because they have a lot. Everybody has. Every filling station has. If every filling station has, of course, they will invite buyers to come. It is to their own advantage to sell and make profit and move and go for more. So let us tackle the problem from the supply angle, from where the product is coming from. Let us tackle bunkering. Let us tackle the theft of our crude oil that we have seen in recent. Though I have also seen some efforts being to tackle it. We want it as
All right.
just so that at the end of the day we can have this product in our filling station.
All right.